Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Notre Dame is a 2.5-point dog going to College Station. We don't know what Notre Dame's offensive line is going to look like exactly. Charles Jagasaw, their starting left tackle, out for the season. He got hurt a few weeks ago. Now, as Tyler Horka from Blue and Gold pointed out when he was on the show, Charles Jagasaw had only started one game. He started the Sun Bowl last year. He was a redshirt freshman. So it wasn't like Notre Dame was going to have a veteran-heavy offensive line that has been in these situations before going into this game. It was always going to be younger, less experienced guys having to play against a really good Texas A&M defensive line in a really tough environment. So I don't know that Charles Jagasaw being hurt should change what you were going to think about it. Like, if you thought Notre Dame was going to win this game before that, I don't know that it should change it that much.
I'm going to push back on that, Andy. I think that, I think that that's kind of putting lipstick on a pig, because Jagasaw was a blue chip recruit who had gotten to spend basically 2 years in the program. Now Notre Dame is going to have to play a true freshman at that spot who has not been practicing, with the team for 2 seasons. So when you're then saying, oh, hey, in your first career start, you got to go up against Nick Scorton and Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart and these boys, that's tough. I think really the bigger question, though, if the reason that I still haven't made a final decision of how I'm leaning on this game, it's that what do we see from Riley Leonard at quarterback? I mean, how healthy is he? Is he going to be kind of a willing runner like he was a couple years ago at Duke, or does he still kind of have some lingering? I don't know if it's effects or if it's a mental thing or what, from getting hurt last year. So if he can show up, Notre Dame needs this game. I will say that Notre Dame needs to win this game with the rest of their schedule, because now that Florida State game doesn't look quite as good. And they play like multiple FCS teams. They play both service academies.
Georgia Tech game looks tougher, though.
Georgia Tech game looks tougher, but there's 9 or 10 wins kind of just sitting there for Notre Dame. And so if you lose this game, I don't know how many impressive performances you're going to have for the playoff. I mean, we'll see what Louisville is. Again, we're kind of guesstimating here before we've seen 1 week of football. But I think the Irish really need this one. And on the flip side, I mean, the Aggies have had a quiet confidence the entire offseason. So, I mean, what are you leaning with Connor Weigman, or where are you going with this?
This is another one. I feel like I've thought of one thing about this game all offseason, and that is that A&M is going to win this thing. The fact that the public feels that way, Vegas feels that way. Now I'm like,
the line's
falling into the trap again.
Yeah, because Notre Dame opened up originally as a favorite, and with the injuries and with some of the other information, the line has much like North Carolina, just not with the expediency that it was last night, but much like that game, the line has flipped.
It came back a little bit, because it actually moved to A&M -3 for a bit last week, and then now it's come back to -2.5. But yeah, so because I do think that Notre Dame's offense should be more dynamic than what we saw last year, because they're going to have receivers that can, like Chris Mitchell, the FIU transfer, should be very helpful, but also just having all those guys healthy. Like Jaden Greathouse was not healthy for all last season. Riley Leonard, if he's healthy, and again, we haven't seen healthy Riley Leonard but think about this. Let's go back to the game where Riley Leonard got hurt, which ironically was against Notre Dame last year. Riley Leonard was keeping Duke in it. Think about Riley Leonard against Clemson. Like, he elevates the people around him when he's healthy.
He also threw 3 touchdowns last year.
Yeah. He was hurt most of the season.
Yeah.
All right. So I take it you're taking the Aggies.
I'm gonna go with Nick Scorton. I think he's gonna be of the transfers in this game, coming out of this game that everyone's talking about. It's gonna be the edge rusher for Texas A&M.
So we know how I feel about Mike Elko. We know I feel like it's going to be a very successful tenure for him in College Station. And in fact, this could be a very successful year, though I don't think he has to deal with any sort of unreasonable expectations. That said, I think Notre Dame needs this game. I think we are sleeping on Notre Dame a little bit because they had a key injury. I think Notre Dame's going to win it. You give me a few points, I'll take them.
Eat them up.
This will be an interesting one because you're right. Notre Dame needs to win this one for its playoff chances because the schedule's not great. And, usually you can say, oh, a typical Notre Dame schedule, you go 10-2 against it, you're going to be an at-large team in the playoff. With this one, you might have to go 11-1 to get the at-large. So you're going to need to win this one. So I'll take the Irish here. And if they don't win it, they're behind the 8 ball for sure. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.